Number is 12037, and thank you for your help.
This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh. Hurricane Erin in the Atlantic has strengthened to a Category 4 hurricane as the East Coast braces for stormy conditions. Adam Klotz has the latest.
Warnings are in place, and ultimately that'll run over towards the Bahamas, where the watch is currently in place as that storm lifts towards the north. Now, is this going to make landfall anywhere? No, actually, it's probably not. We got kind of lucky here as this is going to head back out to sea, but it is going to become a large enough storm that folks will still see the impacts of it. That wind field is growing. It will continue to grow, and as it moves up the East Coast, some of these areas along the Carolinas could see 40, 50-mile-an-hour winds. And with those extreme winds, you're going to see some choppy sea conditions as well. You're looking at anywhere from 9 to 15-foot waves moving up the coast. And that's something that's going to take all week until it gets up to New England. So rip currents will be high, waves will be big, something to pay attention to in the week ahead.
Federal agents are continuing to crack down on crime in Washington, D.C. David Spunt reports.
Today marked 1 week since the federal takeover of the D.C. Police Department. Members of the state National Guards from Ohio, West Virginia, and South Carolina also joining in the effort here in the nation's capital. Now, as the military presence on the street continues to pick up at a steady clip, this is in addition to the 800 National Guard troops ordered by the Pentagon. However, authorities say the city is getting cleaned up. Last night alone, there were 69 arrests. 15 illegal firearms were seized on Saturday night. It's important to point out that statistics are coming from the White House, the D.C. Police Department, not fielding press questions on this federal takeover operation.
The Department of Homeland Security is blaming Democrat politicians and the media for an 830% increase in assaults on U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officers, saying their lies and fake stories continue to stir hate and violence. Fox News legal editor Greg Jarrett says the threats against these officers are real and getting worse.
It's on the rise statistically. For example, in the first 6 months of this year, there have been roughly 80 attacks against ICE agents compared to 10 in the same period last year. So what's really happening is these anti-fascists, as they regard themselves, have coalesced. And instead of protesting peacefully, they've resorted to violence.
An illegal alien truck driver has been arrested and faces deportation after attempting to make an unauthorized U-turn in Florida, resulting in a crash that killed 3 people. Harjinder Singh, who entered the country illegally and obtained a driver's license in California, has been charged with 3 counts of vehicular homicide. Florida Attorney General James Uthmeyer.
Yeah, it's a horrific situation. California should not have provided this person the driver's license and a permit, not just for a car, but to drive large-scale trucks. To then drive into Florida, engage in this dangerous behavior and take the lives of 3 others is really a tragedy, but it shows how dangerous the open border policies under Obama and Biden have been that have continued to wreak havoc on communities across the country.
Pro-life groups are applauding Costco. Chris Woodward tells us why.
Costco has announced it will not be selling the abortion pill. American Family Association has been urging retailers not to sell the pill because of the health concerns for women who take the pill. Earlier this year, the Ethics and Public Policy Center issued a report that found just over 1 in 10 patients experience a severe health event within 45 days after taking the abortion pill. Based on that, Hannah Lape of Concerned Women for America says it's great news that Costco is saying no to the abortion pill.
These pills are pouring into pro-life states via mail, trafficked across state lines, and we're seeing actually a majority of abortions occurring because of the abortion pill and not at brick-and-mortar abortion clinics. So the next target in reducing abortions in the United States would be to start lowering the amount of abortion drugs that are being distributed. And so we're seeing a big change here as Costco is going to stop selling and distributing these at 500 locations.
Lila Rose of Live Action is also pleased with Costco's announcement, adding on X, Walgreens and CVS should follow Costco's lead and immediately stop trafficking in the deaths of children.
And Wall Street is holding near its records today. At 4 minutes past the hour, the S&P 500 virtually unchanged. The Dow also roughly flat, and the Nasdaq Composite edged up 0.1%. I'm Rusty Pugh.
I'll do some stand-up comedy. Abe will do some preaching, and I'm really excited about it. The Weekend with AFA is a chance for our supporters to get better acquainted with the people and ministry you're supporting.
It's a Weekend with AFA, Thursday, October 2nd through Saturday, October 4th in Tupelo, Mississippi. Speakers will include Abraham Hamilton III, Jenna Ellis, Tim Barton, Tim Wildmon, and more. Register at afa.net/weekend. That's afa.net/weekend.
Welcome to Today's Issues, offering a Christian response to the issues of the day. Here's your host, Tim Wildmon, President of the American Family Association.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Today's Issues here on the American Family Radio Network for this Monday, August the 18th, 2025. I'm Tim Wildmon with Ed Battagliano. Good morning, Brother Ed.
Good morning, Tim.
Fred Jackson.
Hi there, Tim.
You're my brother, too. Brother Fred and Brother Ed here to digest the news of the day.
Oh, we're digesting.
Are you?
Oh, yeah.
So at our age, that's a good thing. To not have any issues with that.
That's right.
So we got a couple of guests coming up this hour. Buddy Smith, he is a longtime colleague of ours here at American Family Association.
He was senior vice president for many, many years.
Yes.
Now he's vice president emeritus.
Right. He's an emeritus. So he is going to give us an update. The United Methodist Church, which almost everybody listening to us is familiar with that denomination. I grew up in it. My dad was a UMC pastor. Buddy Smith, our guest, he spent many, many years, decades in the United Methodist Church. Well, the United Methodist Church has now split, and there's a new denomination formed by the more conservative members of the Methodist group, for lack of a better term, the Methodist branch of Christianity. And they finally said that we can't go on with the liberalism that's taken over the denomination. By liberalism, I mean heresy.
Yes.
Okay.
That's right.
It's more than
Call
just...
it.
Huh?
Call it.
Yeah. So that it came to that. The denomination split, and the Global Methodist Church is a growing denomination in the U.S., and we're going to talk about that with him, and what may happen to the United Methodist Church, what will happen to that denomination. And so we will speak to him, and then Koku Loco will be with us. He's at 10:45. He is from Africa. He's visiting the U.S., and we've helped him put a radio station on in Africa, like American Family Radio.
Yes.
And it's impacting thousands of lives over there, and we helped put that radio station on the air. And so it's African Family Radio. Not really.
I was going to say.
Not really. That's not really the name of it, but it would be cool, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah.
To have African Family Radio.
Get the gospel. Everyone needs the gospel.
Amen. So we'll get an update on that as well. First of all, the big news, internationally at least, Fred, is what's happening in Washington, D.C. today, right?
Yeah, in about an hour from now, the president of the Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, is expected to arrive at the White House. He's actually been in town, D.C., for the last day and a half or so. But he's expected to arrive there, where he'll be briefed by President Trump on Trump's meeting with Vladimir Putin in Alaska on Friday. Now, the reports coming out of Alaska, kind of to set the scene, the meeting went longer than 2 minutes. Remember, President Trump heading into that Alaska summit said, it may only last 2 minutes. I may walk away if I don't get a good attitude out of Putin. Apparently got a good attitude. The meeting in Alaska went almost 3 hours. So we have this now summit going on in Washington today. Now, Zelensky and Trump have invited other European leaders to be part of this meeting today. Macron of France is there. Starmer of UK is there. Italian premier is there. They got 4 or 5 of major European leaders are going to be part of this meeting at the White House today. So lots of speculation going on as to what Trump was told by Putin, what he demands in order to end this horrible war. Now, a big player in all of this is Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, who has been meeting with the Russians over the last couple of weeks, has a setup to the Alaska summit. This is what he's saying heading into this meeting. Cut number 1.
We moved the Russians significantly past where we thought they were going to end up. Now, I had 6 separate sessions with President Putin before this, and I thought that we had some measure of success, but this was epic, what we achieved. I think that we are a whole lot closer to eliminating death on the battlefield in Ukraine and Russia.
Well, and that's the big question is, okay, what is Putin demanding? Reports indicate that he wants some more turf in the eastern part of Ukraine. That perhaps in exchange for that, he has agreed to some kind of national security group with military people from Europe, perhaps even others, being involved in a security measure. It's going to come down to what Zelensky is demanding on his side today. Now, there have been a lot of coverage over the weekend. Margaret Brennan at CBS, she had Secretary of State Marco Rubio in, and they had a bit of a confrontation because she was making assumptions such as, well, President Trump didn't get a ceasefire, therefore that meeting in Alaska was a failure. Rubio did not like that. Cut number 2.
How many meetings we've had since then?
Oh, no, I know, and I was just up in Alaska watching the one with Vladimir Putin where a red carpet rolled out.
No, but it was Zelensky. We've had more meetings. We've had one meeting with Putin and like a dozen meetings with Zelensky. But that's not true. They're not coming here tomorrow to keep Zelensky from being bullied. They're coming here tomorrow because we've been working with the Europeans. We talked to them last week. There were meetings in the UK over the previous weekend.
And they said President Trump was going to demand a ceasefire
as early as Thursday. No. But you said that they're coming here tomorrow to keep Zelensky from being bullied. They're not coming here tomorrow. Oh, this is such a stupid media narrative that they're coming here tomorrow because Trump is going to bully Zelensky into a bad deal. We've been working with these people for weeks on this stuff. They're coming here tomorrow because they chose to come here tomorrow. We invited them to come.
Ed?
Well, this, I more and more love Marco Rubio. He is sharp. He knows, he understands our country, the republic. More importantly, he understands foreign policy. The guy's as much of an expert as I've heard in years on these kinds of issues. And I like the fact that he is going to push back with these media narratives. Now, I'm just going to say I've been reading about a lot of this over the weekend. I feel for the Ukrainians. They have been attacked. Russia has taken their territory. I've been reading about what's in the so-called Donbass region, that part of the east and the southeast of their country. Lots of important minerals. Coal is huge. It's their industrial base. I've read that if they surrender this, give this up to Russia and it doesn't come back to them, it could affect their economy by like 30%. It's also part of the wheat producing section of the country. Not all of it, but a pretty good chunk of it. And I think this is why Zelensky is demanding that Russia leave the country, because this is such, first of all, it's been taken from them. Tens of thousands of Ukrainians have died defending it. It's important to their economic future. And so I certainly understand where Zelensky is coming from and the Ukrainians who support him. But I don't think Russia is going to surrender that territory. There's no reason why they should. They've lost, close to 1 million deaths in terms of Russians who have died and been injured in this war. What they did was terrible. They've changed borders using violence. They've changed the borders between the two countries. they're taking important territory from another country. The Russians are not good guys in this, but there's no reason for them to leave what they've taken. And I don't know what you could offer them to make them do it.
What was the story about the Russians taking Ukrainian children?
I've read that. I heard that, and I heard Mark Levin talking about it over the weekend. They took, I think, 25,000 Ukrainian children from these lands where they invaded, and they've sent them back to Russia to be raised as Russians.
They kidnapped them?
Essentially, yeah. They took them. I don't know. I don't know why that is a part of what they're doing. Is it because their birth rate is so low? Now they're going to give.
I tell you, I don't know. Who has the answers to this this dilemma? That
it is a dilemma.
Here. It's a dilemma, and there's something about seeing. I mean, Vladimir Putin and Russia invaded Ukraine, right?
Yeah,
that's correct.
Now they have their reasons why they did that. But now they're just bombing the blankety blank out of Ukraine, and Ukraine's been putting up the best fight they can, given the resources they have.
They've done well against that.
Here we are 3 years, and Russia still hasn't taken over Ukraine. I don't know what's going to be told to. I don't know what's going to happen today. You would think meetings like this would already be preset in terms of what they will be faced with and they'll be agreeing to. I'm talking about with Zelensky and some of the European leaders being in Washington, D.C. to meet with President Trump. I would be surprised if everything isn't already preset, if they're going to get in there and do some back and forth negotiations and hopefully not get into shouting matches between the Trump administration and.
Well, part of the dilemma is what are the options for Europe or the United States? If Russia says we're not giving up the territory we've taken, okay, they took Crimea in 2014, we're not giving up the territory we've taken. Now, Ukraine, what else do you want? Well, so how do you get Russia to leave? You'd have to have NATO and the U.S. attack Russia to drive them out militarily. And we're not going to do that because once you do that, you risk a nuclear exchange.
But I don't think Zelensky's asking for that. He's just asking for arms.
No,
right?
No, that's true. And we're apparently going to sell arms to NATO, and then NATO is going to make a deal for Ukraine to have those weapons. But the point is, I don't think Ukraine can push Russia out either.
That's right.
With whatever weapons they get. Now, I could be wrong.
It's a stalemate, isn't it? Basically been a stalemate for him?
Well, I think Zelensky he's talking tough heading into this meeting. But I think he's going to have to give on Donbas. And
that is a region that borders Russia
yes.
that is Ukrainian.
Yes. He's going to have to give on that. And then Putin, I understand, is agreeable, if he gets what he wants, is agreeable to a NATO security force, which is why a lot of these NATO country leaders are there today.
Okay.
And if you believe Rubio, who says he's been meeting with these people, apparently they're in agreement with that, of being part of a security force, so that Putin doesn't turn around 6 months from now and continue the war.
Would there be any conditions like Russia has to return the children, the Ukrainian children, back to their homeland?
I haven't heard that coming out of the meeting in Alaska on Friday. I haven't heard that particular thing.
Okay.
We had the letter from Melania Trump that made some
What did
news
she
on the
say?
weekend. She wants the kids back.
Yeah. And the estimates, by the way, are all over the map. There's some people saying 700,000 children have been taken, but most official kind of international figures puts it around 25,000. I'm not saying that the lower number makes it okay. I'm just saying the numbers have been all over the map. The security force and a kind of a NATO-style guarantee of protection for Ukraine is something. But you wonder if Putin is saying, okay, that'd be fine because they've got what they wanted.
Yeah.
And then they're not going to return it.
And I think if God forbid, there is a repeat of what happened at the White House meeting several months ago, if Zelensky gets his back up and says, no, I'm not going to agree with that, and he storms out again, or Trump kicks him out, whatever the case may be, then I think Trump's attitude is going to be, okay,
we tried.
I'm wiping my hands of this one.
Yeah. Listen, there's no way that Russia, I don't think there's any way Russia could beat NATO in a war. Okay?
No.
But the problem is Russia is a nuclear power. I think they may have we have the same number of nukes, perhaps. Now, there's other countries in Europe that have nuclear weapons, France and Great Britain and Germany. But nobody wants to see nuclear weapons used. And the only way to drive the Russians out is to drive them back into Russia and maybe enter Russia, and then you risk nukes.
Well, okay, y'all, if I can use a good Southern expression, y'all help me here. Okay, I'm going to play, I wouldn't say devil's advocate, but I'm going to play dumb, okay? Which is not hard for me. I've done that many times in my life, intentionally and unintentionally.
Right.
All right, so why didn't Trump just say to Vladimir Putin, you need to get your forces out of Ukraine, quit abducting children, quit threatening the world, and behave? That's what I got to say to you, Vladimir. Now, what would have been wrong with that?
Well, there'd be nothing wrong with saying it.
But why didn't Trump say that?
Because, first of all, when you do that, when you imply a threat, then Putin says, okay.
But he's threatening Zelensky.
Well,
but basically,
who, Trump, you mean?
Yes. Please don't misunderstand me.
Yeah.
I'm pro-Trump. Okay, I'm pro-America. I think Trump has the best interest of. He wants peace. I believe that.
I do.
But to me, and I know there are people who say Zelensky's corrupt, and I don't know all these. You hear all these things.
Sure.
We need to just abandon Ukraine and let them be sucked up by Russia. That's none of our business. I understand that. Okay, I don't view it that way necessarily. I think Zelensky is to be admired in terms of his tenacity. Here's a guy who has stood up to one of the world's greatest war machines. For 3 years, he's held him at bay from taking over his country. Now, he's been a leader. Obviously, his men have fought valiantly. But it seemed like to me, everybody's just looking at him going, hey, you need to surrender half your country, man. What's wrong with you? Why don't you do that? And he's like going, we're fighting for our very life and our country. Our children have been abducted. Our homes have been bombed. We've been pillaged, and you guys are looking at us like it's all up to us. Don't you have any principles of right and wrong? That's what I would say the Ukrainian people are viewing this as.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I have no problem with
Trump's hamming it up.
I think
I say hamming it up. When Trump's rolling out the red carpet for Vladimir Putin, and they're seen just joking and laughing, and while this guy's taking the children of the Ukrainians, don't you see how they would feel that? What side is America on?
No, absolutely.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, I know you hate that expression.
Just don't use it more than once.
Okay. What I just said.
Okay.
When the final chickens come home to roost, Russia is sitting on 20% of Ukrainian soil with their military dug in. It's important territory for Ukraine's economic future, and nobody has a way to push them out or to get them out without NATO and the U.S. going to war with Russia. And I'm guessing that's what Putin was banking on all along. NATO is not going to get in. Nobody in the West wants to get into a war. The U.S. was in wars for 20 years. They're reading the attitude of the American people. I'm talking about Putin. And so they're saying, we're taking it and no one can stop us and we're not giving it back. And now you've got to decide, well, what next? And I think what Trump's doing is he's telling Zelensky there is no what's next.
He knows that.
And you think Zelensky?
Yeah, he's known that for. He's not going. I don't know that he'll do that. Although I don't know why he would be meeting with Trump if he doesn't. If he's not going to do what Trump wants him to do, which is give up a third of his country.
Well, it's not quite a third, but it's. I think it's been described as like 20%, but it's really important. Now I'm looking at the map. Now, what this does is and again, now I'm not excusing what Putin did. It means that there is now a buffer zone and nobody from the West can invade through Ukraine into Russia. But I don't think that's primarily why Russia took this. I think they took it because they wanted access to the Black Sea and they wanted all that coal and all those minerals and the wheat fields.
Well, we'll see what happens today. I don't know if Zelensky will agree. It seemed like to me he wouldn't be in Washington if he wasn't ready to agree to whatever Trump says. Whatever Trump worked out was with Putin, which we don't know exactly what that was.
Well, either that or he wants the European leaders to say he wants to be able to tell the European leaders, look, I tried to talk Trump out of this thing he wants us to do, but we didn't get anywhere. And then he turns to European leaders and says, please give us weapons. We're going to keep fighting.
And that's the bottom line. I mean, Trump going in, he says he just wants the killing stopped. I mean, but he's been giving, thousands are dying on both sides every week.
Why didn't Trump have a red carpet for Zelensky meeting? I mean,
but he's had him in the White House 2-3 times.
I know, but it just I don't know.
It didn't look good. When he and Putin met on the red carpet, that's symbolic of. Well,
roll out the red carpet.
Roll out the red carpet. That doesn't look good because, as far as I can tell, Putin is a dictator.
I see things a little bit different than a lot of my fellow conservatives on this in terms of the way Zelensky's been treated. Now, I know people say, well, he's got a whole bunch of money from the U.S., and that's true under Biden administration. But
American politicians have a lot of money too.
Yeah,
people, and now maybe Zelensky is corrupt. But I don't hold the money against him unless we're going to hold Nancy Pelosi, for all her money.
All right, next story, Fred.
Well, let's have a little bit of good news before we go to the break.
Okay.
Costco, one of the huge retailers in this country, they have agreed that they will not dispense the abortion pill mifepristone at its U.S. pharmacies, a decision hailed by pro-life advocates as a significant victory.
This is really big.
It is. Absolutely. For them to do this, and they've been known to have very liberal leanings in their upper establishment.
Right.
And for them to agree to do this, as Ed says, it's pretty big news.
Yeah. This is good news. Costco, they're not going to sell the abortion pill.
Yeah.
And you're right. We congratulate them. We thank them for that. And also we had a part to do. We had a role to play in that. American Family Association did. So it's a victory for our team, so to speak, and for the life issue altogether. So, yeah. And, Costco's, as you say, one of the largest retailers in America. They're right up there with
Sam's.
Sam's. We don't have one here where we are, Costco, but they're much like a Sam's retail, right?
Very similar. They
have like
comparable
memberships and stuff.
Memberships,
Yep. And you get access to the big box store. Now that someone mentioned something about they're traditionally very liberal because they're based, I think, out of Seattle or somewhere in Washington State. So I got to be honest, I was surprised that they did this, but celebrate it.
Well, there are 7 conservatives in Seattle, so maybe they, you know what I'm saying? Maybe they work for Costco. My
sister and her husband are 2 of them. She told me as soon as her husband retires, he's like a foot surgeon in the military or something. They're getting out of there. They said these crazies drive us great.
That's a beautiful city, though.
It is.
Naturally. It sits there on
state.
Is it the Puget Sound? Is that how you pronounce it?
Puget Sound, yep.
I've been there.
Mm-hmm.
And the Space Needle and
Mount Rainier.
Mount Rainier.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful place, Seattle, Washington. All right. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. We're going to talk to the United Methodist Church is sliding downhill while the Global Methodist Church is climbing uphill, spiritually speaking. We're going to talk about that when we get back from the break.
It's my turn.
Here is your host for My Turn, Don Wildmon.
In life, a person should be sure that what he's working toward is what he wants. Too many times a person spends his life working toward a goal, and then when he reaches the goal, discovers that he didn't really want what he got. Marjorie Meriwether Post, who was sometimes referred to as Grand Dame Post, spent much of her 86 years climbing society's ladder. She became one of the nation's leading society queens. However, toward the end of her life, she expressed regrets at having spent so much time at the top. At one of the last parties she held, while surrounded by gushing women, she leaned over to a friend and confided, "To think I worked 50 years just to have these," and she called the ladies present a name, "bow and scrape to me." One of the cruel tricks which life plays on us is to give us that which we ask for. And many times we discover that the more we get of what we want, the less we want of what we get. In ancient Greek mythology, there was a story of Midas. Midas had done the gods a favor, and his reward was that any one wish he had would be fulfilled. Midas wished that everything he touched would turn to gold. Well, his wish was fulfilled, but he nearly starved to death before he got it changed. Some time ago, there was a special program on television about several bright young executives who were apparently on their way up in the business world. The report told how, one by one, they had turned their backs on the climb to the top and accepted jobs paying much less. The more they got of what they wanted, the less they wanted what they got. A person should be sure, before he sets out working toward something, that what he is working toward is what he wants. For the chances are pretty good that he'll get what he wants. To me, the most terrible frustration life could give would be to spend your whole life in pursuit of something, and then when you finally get it, discover that it wasn't worth pursuing at all. I remember reading a story about a restless young boy who wanted to be free, away from the restraints and restrictions of his father. So he left home one day in a sullen mood and headed toward a place where he could do as he pleased. But the story went on to point out that the more he did of what he wanted, the less he wanted to do what he did. And then one day he came back home to do something worthwhile, to be the son of his father. Make sure that what you're working for in life is worth working for. Give it close examination before you decide to invest your life pursuing it. Weigh it on the scales of life. Compare it with the virtues of love and service. Don't waste your life in pursuit of that which you do not want. I know a few disappointments in life that would be more crushing than working for something and getting it, only to discover it wasn't really what you wanted at all.
This has been My Turn with Don Wildmon, a production of the American Family Association.
In Him, we were also chosen, having been predestined according to the plan of Him who works out everything in conformity with the purpose of His will. Ephesians 1:11.
American Family Radio. This is Today's Issues. Email your comments to comments@afr.net. Past broadcasts of Today's Issues are available for listening and viewing in the archive at afr.net. Now, back to more of Today's Issues.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Tim, Ed, Fred. Now, Buddy Smith joins us. Good morning, Buddy.
Good morning, Tim.
Buddy has worked here for, how long? You worked here longer than I have. Well, about as long as I have, hadn't you? Before you retired.
That's right.
Yeah, three decades,
yeah.
Right?
Yes, indeed. 32 years before I kind of part-time retired. I appreciate you letting me hang around, though.
Absolutely. Now, you served as a United Methodist pastor, right?
Yes.
For how many years?
A long time. Matter of fact, just like your dad.
Did you say too long?
Yeah. I was actually, like your dad, believe it or not, they appointed me here to AFA. And
But
they didn't
before
have
that,
any
you served local
say-so
churches,
over.
right? You served as a pulpit pastor.
Yeah, and I served as a pulpit pastor for about 15 years.
Yeah, 15 years.
Sure did.
Okay, so in the United States, if you look at our history, obviously the Christian religion has dominated.
Yeah.
Since our inception. All right, and if you look at the 20th century and the last half of the 20th century, if you were to look at the Christian religion, I'll use that term, in the United States in terms of numbers, you have the Roman Catholic Church, and they have an unfair advantage because if you're born, you don't have to convert. If you're born in a Catholic family, they count you. Am I right, Ed?
I think that's probably right.
That's true. That's true.
I think it is.
Okay, so I'm just teasing a little bit here. I'm just saying, okay, if you look at the numbers, Catholics, and then as far as Protestant denominations go, you had the Southern Baptist Church. They're called the Southern Baptist Convention, right? And then under that, and I know some Southern Baptists saying, hey, we're not Protestant, we're something else. I don't know. Go back to John the Baptist, or some of them claim that, right? So, but I'm talking about non-Catholic, okay, Christians, and that is Southern Baptist. And then right under that was the United Methodist Church. The United Methodist Church came into existence in the 60s, right?
68.
The merging of what?
Right.
United Brethren?
United Brethren, and another one.
United, it was and Methodist.
Yeah.
It was just called the Methodist and the United Brethren. Thus, they put it together, United Methodist, and they became the second largest Protestant denomination in America, and had churches all over the country. So I say that to set the backdrop here,
right?
Because United Methodist Church was an evangelical. Mm-hmm. By that I mean they were basically a Bible-believing denomination that you grew up in, that I grew up in.
That's right.
Something happened along the way in the started in the 70s, maybe even prior to that, 80s and 90s.
Yes.
What happened, buddy?
Era. What happened was the seminaries all of a sudden began to teach this so-called progressive or regressive, we might better label it, theology, which basically just they forgot their Bible. They lost their Bible and began to have these other ideas that they thought were better and smarter than God's revelation.
Mm. That happened, and then that started filtering down to the.
It did. It did. It infiltrated the seminaries, then the hierarchy of the church, the
bishops. Yeah.
And so the problem there was with these bishops in the United Methodist Church, they are elected for life.
Like federal judges.
So, yes. So they get this control and they get this power. And so if it's their idea that they got a better idea than the Bible, then there are no checks and balances. They're not accountable.
Elected for life, that's a terrible idea.
Oh, it is.
Huh?
There's a judicial court, but the problem with there is, again, there's no accountability to Scripture. And so you just got, leadership off the rails.
So this battle between what I would call the Bible-believing Methodists,
yes,
and these more progressive liberal Methodists, they just went on through the 70s and 80s and 90s, 2000s, and finally it came to a head.
It did.
About 5 years ago?
It did.
What happened?
That's right. Well, what happened was, even though the book of doctrine, we call the discipline, still had a biblical truth there around Orthodox Christian beliefs, by that time, like you say, tracing back 50 years ago when it all started, all of a sudden it comes to a head, and you've got these lawbreakers in the church that are just ordaining homosexuals.
Open homosexuals.
Yes.
They were promoting that.
Yes, absolutely. And so there was just, no one to reel them in. They just did what they wanted to do, and there were no consequences. And so all of a sudden, you've got a church here that's just really no longer a church in terms of what the New Testament defines as what a church is really supposed to be.
So one other question, then I'll let you. So what happened? So you got this divide now, and somebody came up with an official way to separate, right?
That's right. So thankfully, and of course through the years, we're talking these 50 years or so, there were renewal movements that arose, and the United Methodist system, your dad was a critical part of a couple of those.
Right.
And while they made a little headway, just again because of the seminaries were poisoned, just toxic. And then you had these bishops unaccountable to anyone, and especially to the Scripture. And so finally, it just ran off the road completely. And so thankfully, God has raised up a new denomination, Methodist denomination, called the Global Methodist Church. It happened in 2022, and it's amazing what's happened, and it's still happening. What just happened before our eyes was all of a sudden this implosion of the United Methodist denomination, and because of what's called a trust clause in the United Methodist Church, going all the way back to Wesley, believe it or not, when they tied the property of the local church to the denomination. Now, that was done initially for some control, not of just so we can tell you what to do if it's not biblical, but to keep the doctrinal focus on Orthodox Christian beliefs. And so, but then when the church lost its moorings and lost its focus about the gospel and decided to become something else rather than the Church of Jesus Christ, then you've got trouble. You got real trouble. And so, but what happened was because so many churches were revolting about the heresy that was being spread in the church, the denomination basically became a bank and provided a way out and said, well, okay, you want to leave? We'll let you leave, but you're not leaving without writing a check because we own the property. So some churches wrote some serious checks. They paid the price, and but the good news of that is they're now out from under the thumb and control of the United Methodist Church, and it's a new day.
And personally, I'll just make this comment, and then I want to ask you one other question here, buddy.
Yeah.
I think the United Methodist Church did that, in other words, trying to get the money out of these churches that wanted to leave, because the United Methodist Church was shrinking in terms of adherents because of the liberal turn.
Exactly.
They could read the tea leaves, so to speak, and they wanted to try to get some money to weather that decline.
I agree.
And I think that they were trying to get that cash in the bank.
Yeah.
But now you have been selected for a position in our area of the Global Methodist Church, right?
Yeah.
Tell the listeners a little bit about that.
I have, and it came as a real surprise. I may be more surprised than anyone, I guess, for a couple of reasons. And by the way, this would have never happened with me in the United Methodist Church because of my beliefs about the inspiration of the Scripture.
Yes, you believe the Bible.
And because of my history as an outspoken evangelical Christian.
Right.
I mean, I would just not.
You're a pariah.
Yes. So something of a surprise. And I'll have to say that I think my opportunity to serve in this capacity comes to some maybe large degree because, Tim, my history of leadership here with AFA and the Global Methodist Church has a great appreciation for AFA and for what we have done and stood for through the
So you'll be a presiding elder.
A presiding elder, and so what?
Is that a lifetime appointment?
No, thankfully not. Not sure how long it is. For 74 years old, we know it won't be very long. Anyway.
Buddy doing an honest self-analysis here of life. Okay.
But the beauty of it is, and here's the joy of it, my role is in the Amory district, which is comprised of 16 churches, 14 pastors, and I'm basically an overseer over those churches. It's all about encouraging them to be the body of Christ, to be faithful to the Lord and proclaim the gospel and make disciples. And there's just a new and a fresh wind of the Holy Spirit blowing through this denomination. I can't begin to tell you the excitement. And, in this small district of our Mississippi West Tennessee Conference, we do have some smaller rural churches, but we also have churches in Columbus, First Methodist, and Starkville, and West Point, in our area here that are just
the Mississippi towns you're talking about.
Yes, Mississippi towns, and they're really, really flourishing. God's hand is really upon them. And here are a couple of things that I think checks and balances the Global Methodist has put in place. First of all, for the bishops, and we've had some good ones in the Global Methodist, and we also have term limits for them. So they can serve 2 6-year terms, and if they're still of age, they go back and be a pastor again to serve out their ministry. Also, first and most important, we believe the Holy Bible is God's revelation. And so that's first and foremost, and we have seminaries, about 9 of them approved. Wesley Biblical, one of my favorites because I'm on the board there, one of those approved seminaries where you, again, just a belief in the Scripture and in scriptural holiness and the tenets of Methodism. And, there's no property hold on these churches. Each church holds and owns their own property. And then, of course, just such a focus on making disciples and growing the church and growing the kingdom.
Well, we're talking about the United Methodist Church is been hemorrhaging members now for a couple of decades, maybe 3 decades, because often people would cite because they're going so liberal,
right,
and to the point of being heretical.
Yes.
And so. It's sad to say. I grew up in the United Methodist Church. Buddy was a pastor there. Many people listening right now grew up in the United Methodist Church, and it's sad to say. However, so that church is dying, but the God is raising up new churches, new denominations like the Global Methodist Church, which we're talking about here.
That's right.
Discussing here this morning, which is on the rise. And I don't know I don't know for the life of me. Well, I think I do know the answer to my own question, but just looking at it, if you were taking the spiritual aspect out of these church denominations and you were just saying, okay, these are businesses.
That's right.
Okay? So what happened to these mainline Protestant denominations? It's like they have a death wish, like a suicide pact that they've entered into with the devil.
That's right.
And so they, these historic Christian denominations that helped form America, and then I'm talking about, I don't know if I should name names. We've already mentioned the United.
I'll name them.
Well, the Presbyterian Church USA.
Yes.
The Episcopal Church, which they're down to like 27 people, I think.
Evangelical Lutheran Church in America.
Okay.
Right.
Those denominations, again, these are great historic denominations in America, which, because of their denying of biblical truth, are people do not go to a church that doesn't believe in anything.
Right.
They're certainly not going to write a check. People go to anything, whatever the call. But it better have a purpose. It better have a mission. It better have a cause.
It needs to believe in something.
Yes.
Believe in something.
Yes. Yes. And Satan is always at work, Tim, with trying to. The Bible speaks a lot about apostasy, about a falling away from biblical truth and doctrine, and Satan is just working overtime, and we've got to be alert.
Were you surprised how many United Methodist churches decided to write the check and leave the denomination? Were you surprised at this?
I was surprised, and I honestly.
Do you know the percentage?
I know in this conference here in Mississippi, I I think that percentage is at least 50% now.
Really?
And yes, and yes, I was very surprised, and I think the leadership in the United Methodist probably more surprised than all. I think with the United Methodist, because of the seminaries, you had the clergy all kind of poisoned up with this stuff, but they had not really penetrated the pew, you might say, and as far as as deeply as they thought they had.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a surprise, because to leave the denomination, the way the United Methodist set up, there had to be a certain percentage of the congregation to vote to leave. And so,
right, then you got to be willing to surrender some land.
Yes.
Or money.
Exactly.
So it's some pain involved in that regard. You don't just walk away and say,
that's right.
That's
right.
And
anyway.
by the way, when this started happening with churches, conservative Bible-believing churches leaving the United Methodist Church, we found out what this was really all about. The UMC's 2024 General Conference, so it was last year,
right,
repealed its longstanding bans on LGBTQ clergy and same-sex marriage.
They did.
So that was what they wanted all along.
It's what they wanted all along, and their promises were always to the people in the pew. That's just not going to happen. And
listen, I just don't know how you can read the Bible and say that homosexuality is compatible with scriptural teaching.
It's clear.
It's just
Bible's
not.
Clear.
And that doesn't mean God doesn't love LGBTQ people. And we're all, as the saying goes, we're all sinners.
That's right.
Huh?
Yeah.
So that's also true. But the Bible, there are certain behaviors the Bible doesn't condone or conform or agree with.
Right.
And it lays them. You can't be sexually immoral.
Right.
Regardless of homosexuality, you can't live. You
can't enter the kingdom of heaven, let alone belong to a church.
That's adultery.
Right.
Premarital sex is forbidden. Right. So there's all kinds of things that are forbidden.
By the way, I did want to mention that the apostate churches that were aligned, the United Methodists and aligned with the UMC, were all in the West. The Methodist churches in Africa, for example, or Latin America or Asia, they were all biblically solid.
They were.
And in fact, I remember there were some African bishops who agreed to oversee in the early part of this exodus from the UMC. They agreed to act as bishops temporarily while this kind of what we now know as the Global Methodist Church.
That's right.
They were helping them.
And many of those now are Global Methodist. There are over 50 conferences now, the Global Methodist Church in the United States, and there are over 25 now globally.
Okay.
So the denomination, while the UMC, United Methodist, is imploding, the Global Methodist is exploding.
Right. Well, Buddy Smith's been our guest. He is a new, what is your role?
Presiding elder.
Presiding elder.
Of the Amory District.
Of the Global Methodist Church, which is a denomination that has sprung forward after the demise of the United Methodist Church. As I know some people have been listening, the demise, what do you mean? Well,
spiritual demise.
Demise. All right, thank you, buddy.
Thank you, Tim.
Appreciate it.
Enjoyed being with
we
you.
wish you the best in overseeing 14 pastors and 16 churches. I don't know why.
By the way, are you still
prayers
preach?
Appreciated?
You do preach at churches. Are you going to keep preaching?
I do. Yes, indeed. I'll have an opportunity to preach in some of these churches. So look forward to that.
Ed, you need to oversee 14 pastors and 16 churches.
No, I don't.
You're retired. You need something to do.
Are you hinting at something, Tim?
Yeah. Oh man. All right. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
You're listening to Today's Issues. We're going to wait till 11:05. You're listening to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Well, the Southern Baptist Church, many of our folks listening to us right now, they went through their own struggles, I guess, between the conservatives and the, moderates or liberals. Remember that with Adrian Rogers?
Late 70s, early 80s.
Remember that, Fred?
Yeah. And Adrian Rogers, that's how he became a national figure. He went in there and fought on behalf of those for the authority of Scripture and turned it around.
And to protect their seminaries.
Yes.
It's always the way, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's if you don't stick to the Bible,
yeah,
and if you don't uphold the Bible as you train new leaders, you're going to go the way of the UMC, the Episcopal Church, etc.
Yeah.
That's just what's going to happen.
I heard once, and you guys get your reaction to this. I heard in order to get some of these schools, seminaries, in order to get accreditation, they have to have, you have to have a master's degree, a PhD, whatever the case may be. And they go out and they look for what they consider the best, but the best may have graduated from Harvard Theological School. So they said, well, he's only teaching English,
right,
or whatever the case may be. And they bring them in, but they start to influence the students. It is just a reminder that, that little bit of leaven can really destroy the whole lump.
Yeah.
If you're not careful. Now, this happens over a long period of time.
Right.
But it's also the other thing. I think there's a philosophy out there. In order to win the world, we have to become more like the world.
Yeah.
No, that's not.
That.
No, I understand that. You're right. You're right. That is the deception.
Yeah.
But that's not the reality.
No.
And I'll say this too. Yeah. It's just. You would think, as I said, back to the business analogy, you would think, okay, how can we get more customers? Well, we offer good products and we offer things that are valuable to people. Well, if you apply that to the church world, if you have a church that doesn't believe in anything really, nothing absolutely, how many of you we've heard this Christianity is exclusive. Either you believe Jesus is the Son of God or you don't. And that's a dividing line.
Yes.
Okay? But a lot of these mainline churches have tried to adopt a universalist view of, while their name says Christianity, inside the pulpits they've been saying, no, all roads lead to God.
Right.
Well, that isn't what Jesus said. So, which is it? It's got to be one or the other. And if you try to go with all roads lead to God, and you claim to be a Christian church, eventually you're going to lose all your members. And you're not going to be able to recruit any new members to your church because you're not proclaiming anything that people can sink their teeth into. Is that?
Yeah, I wrote an article probably 15 years ago for our monthly magazine. And folks, by the way, check out The Stand magazine. You can go to afa.net and sign up for it. But I wrote an article about the kinds of churches. This was in the early 2000s where mainline denominations were shrinking dramatically, but evangelical churches were growing. And I wrote this article, and even sociologists said that what people are looking to when it comes to church are authoritative churches, not authoritarian, where you have leaders that are bullies. It was called authoritative churches, that people wanted to go to churches that believed in something and that to which they were asked to give. And you're going to ask people to sacrifice? You're going to ask people to, you and Allison did this for years, taking nursery duty. You're going to ask people to sacrifice like that? It's got to be for a cause or something bigger than themselves. And that's what even sociologists recognized within growing churches. But churches that don't make demands, that don't say this is the truth and this is false, those churches tend to shrink.
Yeah, because if you don't believe that in proclaiming the gospel of salvation, saving you from sin, death, and hell, then
just stay home on Sunday.
Yeah, you can find 1,000 things to do with your time.
Right.
Right. All right, we'll be back momentarily with more of today's issues on the American Family Radio Network.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American Family Association or American Family Radio.
Faith, family, freedom. American Family Radio.
All God asks of you is faithfulness. Headlines in USA Today, did you see it this morning? All the odds against us. Faithfulness is the word.
There's a place for you on the battle line. Engage in the fight for America's families. Visit AFA.net and then take your position. A message from the American Family Association.
This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh. President Trump is preparing to hold discussions with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky and other European leaders at the White House today. Jackie Heinrich reporting from the White House.
Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt tells me this morning that the president invited everybody here because he remains more determined than ever to end this war. One challenge, though, today appears that it might be getting Ukraine to back off of its demand for a ceasefire first after Russia killed at least 10 people, including a 1-year-old girl, and injured dozens more in a series of strikes that happened overnight. Zelensky, who's already in D.C., posted this: Putin will commit demonstrative killings to maintain pressure on Ukraine and Europe, as well as to humiliate diplomatic efforts. That is precisely why we are seeking assistance to put an end to the killings. That is why reliable security guarantees are required.
Texas state Democrats returning to their state after walking out of the previous legislative special session. Garrett Tenney reporting from Austin.
Texas House Democrats just announced that they returned to Austin this morning. They will be here at the state capitol, and they say this kicks off the next phase of their fight against this new congressional map. They plan to focus on legally challenging it in the courts, but they're trying to make this return out to be a victory lap, claiming they got everything they wanted out of their 2 weeks in hiding. The two big wins that they are pointing to is that they waited out the first special legislative session, which ended Friday before a new one was immediately called, and California now moving ahead with putting together its own new congressional map that would create 5 new Democratic districts.
An immigration enforcement organization says it is clear that 1.6 million illegals have decided it is wise to go home since Donald Trump became president. Chad Groening has more.
According to Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, in the first 200 days of the Trump administration, approximately 1.6 million illegals have left the United States. The Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that an unprecedented 2.2 million foreign-born, legal and illegal, have departed between January and July. The DHS speculates that many individuals have left the country voluntarily because of incentives like free travel and a $1,000 stipend. Returning home has also been facilitated by a new mobile app called CBP Home. Ira Melman is media director for the Federation for American Immigration Reform. He says these illegal aliens are rational people.
The administration that let them all in, they were the people who were irrational. They opened the borders. People responded and came to the United States because they believed that they would be allowed to remain here.
But Melman says now the signal has been sent that we are intent on enforcing our laws.
That we're not going to allow people to come here en masse, settle here, take jobs, access benefits and services, and expect that there will be no consequences to violating our laws. And we're seeing that when you send that signal, people decide, you know what, this is not conducive to me remaining here.
And Melman says the policy shall remain a deterrence.
Absolutely. There's no question that people will make the decision that it's not in their interest to remain here.
I'm Chad Groening.
The State Department is denying visas to Gazans seeking to travel to the U.S.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio says a pause in visas for visitors from Gaza is necessary to better review who is being approved for those visas amid concerns raised by members of Congress.
There is evidence been presented to us by numerous congressional offices that some of the organizations bragging about and involved in acquiring these visas have strong links to terrorist groups like Hamas.
Rubio on CBS's Face the Nation says it's not just children in need of medical care applying for travel visas to the U.S., but also a bunch of adults accompanying them. At the White House, Jarrett Halpern, Fox News.
And finally, here's Adam Klotz with the latest on Hurricane Aaron.
This is a powerful hurricane that's still moving just to the north of the Caribbean. Winds at 130 miles an hour, moving northwest at 13 miles an hour. Now, in a way, we are dodging a bullet with this because it does not make landfall whatsoever as it moves north. Slowly weakens, it's going to grow as well, but this is such a big storm and will become such a big storm that just because it doesn't make landfall does not mean there won't be impacts. By the time we get into Wednesday, we're now passing close enough and it's a large enough storm that likely we're going to start to see some fairly strong winds along some of these coastal cities, 40, 50 miles an hour on the Outer Banks there of North Carolina.
For American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh.
God is at work and He's calling His people to rise in truth. Truth Rising is a powerful new documentary from Focus on the Family and the Colson Center. See how ordinary Christians choose courage in a culture that needs truth. Watch Truth Rising starting September 5th and find out how you can be a part of the change and become an agent of restoration. Sign up at truthrising.com. That's truthrising.com.
Today's Issues continues on AFR with your host, Tim Wildmon, President of the American Family Association.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. I'm Tim Wildmon with Ed Vitagliano, and now Steve Paisley-Jordahl joins us. How you doing, Brother Steve?
I am well. I'm well today. Thank you.
Donning the Paisley shirt.
Donning the Paisley. Got the Paisley. Got
I
a rep.
think that's
Got
my favorite one of yours.
Thank you. I'm glad that
I like that that color combination.
Thank you. It's gold and silver and gold and black. So it's like Raiders and Saints.
New Orleans Saints, yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
So, Steve,
Yes, sir.
Give us a good word, man. What's happening in your world?
In my world?
Yeah, your world, Steve.
I'm a short timer here. I'm here for today and tomorrow, and then I'm off for a week or so.
Going on vacation?
Going on vacation. I think
that's right. You got a cruise.
Yeah, mentioned this on Friday. Heather and I are going to Alaska.
Well, you just missed the big Trump-Putin meeting.
I know. Well, no, I mentioned this yesterday or Friday. I said if we could have just told him to hold off a week, I would have covered it, and then y'all would have had to pay for it.
Summit.
Summit. Cruise.
That's right.
You don't want all that politics anyway. You're going to see nature.
That's right. We're going to go see icebergs and orcas.
That sounds like a country song.
It does, doesn't it?
Icebergs and
orcas. Mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be orcas. I don't know. Maybe that's a reach. I think that's a reach, Ed.
That's a reach.
Okay. So we have a couple of guests in studio. Today's guest in studio day.
Yeah.
And of course, Buddy Smith was with us last half hour, and he came to us all the way from down the hall. Our next two guests came all the way across the Atlantic Ocean.
Right.
And so we have in studio with us Koku and Yvette Loco. And yes, I wanted to welcome you.
Thank you.
Koku.
Tim.
And Yvette.
Yes, sir. Yvette.
Thank you. Now, Steve grew up. You spent a lot of your youth in Madagascar, right?
I did a formative part of my youth, about 6
on
years.
On the mission field.
On the mission field is in Madagascar, which is a French colony, and Togo, from where Koku and Yvette are from, is also French speaking. So we're going to be speaking French.
Okay, now this is good. I mean, no disrespect, Koku.
Yes, sir.
But this sounds funny to say.
Yeah.
You're Koku Loco.
I am.
Yes,
real one.
From Togo.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir. Real one for Jesus.
So, Koku, so I don't want people to think I'm making this up. Koku Loco and his wife Yvette, they are in the United States visiting with folks who support their ministry.
Yes.
Their ministry is based out of
Togo. Where the mission...
The country again.
Togo. Yes, Togo, West Africa.
Togo.
Next to
if you
Ghana.
look at the map of Africa, Togo is in West Africa.
Yeah.
A sliver, a small country geographically.
By Ghana.
By Ghana.
Ghana, yeah.
But you speak French.
Yes, sir.
Why is that?
Well, it's probably by God's providence. They came and chopped the land, so...
is this post-World War II or post-World War I, Yvette, that those countries came into existence?
Is that World War II? But before World War I or between, we were under Germany. German.
Oh, okay.
German.
German. Then after World War...
After World War II, well, they have a conference. They call the Conference of Yalta.
Yes.
And the United States decided to hand Africa over to the British and the French.
Is this what we call colonization?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And that's not too popular in Africa, is it?
It's now. We wish United States came, but it was, I don't know. So
Yeah.
you were
Anyway,
given-
so that's your homeland, and you have you bet. Tell us about your ministry there in your homeland, and then Steve, jump in after that. Sure. Go ahead.
Okay. We went back to Togo in 2000 to set up our ministry. We have 4 churches, and we have a radio station going on now. And we just opened up a hospital in February 2024. So we do evangelization, preaching, and we have kids that we do VBS with. And in our Sunday school, we have kids from birth till teenager, and we have youth and women ministry. And on the radio, we have women ministry. And at the radio, too, we have like a youth, young girl or young ladies ministry that we help them with to be chaste, to be pure, to be virgin till they get married.
Amen.
And we have young men that we talk to on the radio, and men too. They have their show on the radio. And in the churches, we have the same thing, groups that we help with. And pretty soon, we have one churches in one of the village that we are going now. We send chaplain there that is maybe in the future, in the next future, we'll have a church there for that village. Yeah.
So how did you come to know Christ?
Well, that is a good question. We were French colony, but Tim, I never seen French missionary in my life. So in 1997, a friend has invited me to come along with him to attend an evangelist meeting conducted by an American missionary.
Where was this?
His name is Simon.
So what year?
It was 1979, 40-something years ago.
How old are you? Because you're my age, I think. I'm 62. What are you?
Oh, you are my little brother.
Oh, you're older than that?
Yeah, I'm 64.
Okay, well, not too much. Okay.
We don't ask ladies how old they are.
Yeah.
She's
No,
29.
So-
we are not going to ask you how old you are, Yvette. You don't worry about that,
Yeah.
okay?
So I didn't want to go because this friend, his mom was called Madame Voodoo.
Madame Voodoo?
Yeah. Born into an idol girl. So she told Simon and myself, the day I'll catch you near the church building, you dead. And she was that kind of lady. So I didn't want to go with Simon. He went. In the space of 2 hours, my friend came back crazy. I was studying for an exam, and he prompted the gate open. Blah! Oh, I got saved. I got saved. I got saved. I said, what? And he wanted me to get saved on the spot. I said, Simon, if you really get saved, you know the person you need to talk to, go and tell Madame Voodoo. Well, 3 weeks later, I called Simon because I saw a total change. And I said, take me to your missionary. In French high school, they taught us philosophy. So I prepared to go and question that missionary, the late David Field. His name is David and Elwanda Field, ABW missionary. And I got there Wednesday evening, prayer meeting. He pulled out his Bible, started reading from Ecclesiastes. Probably he knew I was coming. I don't know. Young man, rejoice in your youth. He was reading in English, translating in French. For a while I stopped. I say, is that thing in the Bible telling me to rejoice? I didn't know the end was coming. The end was, but no doubt that for all those things, God will bring you to judgment. And that got right into my heart. And that night, I gave my life to Christ. American missionaries, never seen a French missionary in my life.
And here we are today, some whatever it is, 40
something years
later, and it as Christ changed your life so radically that
Amen.
You went into the pastorate and full-time ministry. And you guys, we're talking to Koku and Yvette Loko, L-O-K-O, and they are from
Togo, West Africa.
I got it, brother. I got it. You don't have to help me. I got it. Togo, West Africa. And if you want to learn more, now you on your card that you have here with me, it says Global Impact Ministries in Montgomery, Alabama. Now, what's your affiliation with them?
Well, we are under their umbrella. As national, we had to go under an umbrella of a U.S. mission base. So that is how we do, because anybody who wants to support us, they cannot send the support directly to Togo. They have to go through
Global Impact Ministries in Montgomery, Alabama.
Yes, sir.
Nobody's sending money to anyone in Africa simply because we all get emails. You remember the Nigerian prince?
That's right.
Everyone got these emails. If you will send me this kind of money, I can give you all the. So I like the idea that there's a U.S.-based missions group that people can check out and feel confident in sending money to your ministry.
Please don't send it.
Coco, you gave us some devotions this morning. You led our devotions, and you brought us to the book of Acts, the first chapter.
Yes, sir.
And you brought us to the verse where God or Jesus says, "It's not for you to know the time or the seasons that my Father is fixed by his own hands, but you will receive power when the Holy Spirit has come upon you, and you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem and in all Judea and Samaria and to the ends of the earth." And that's when I found out that you and I share a passion for radio.
Yes, sir.
I grew up just in love with radio. I don't know why. I just was, my heroes were disc jockeys and radio personalities and talk show hosts and everything. But you asked, how does God get his message to the ends of the earth? And the answer is through radio. And you have a radio ministry in Togo.
Yes, sir.
Tell me about that.
Well, in 1998, when I graduated from New Orleans Baptist Seminary, we wanted to go home because my heart was for Africa. So finally, this pastor helped, we went. And I listened to some radio. When I was living in 1988, I came here in 1988, there was no such thing as Christian radio. So by the time we get back, we have few Christian radio. And I listened. I was sick to my stomach. False teaching.
False teaching?
Yeah, false teaching.
You talking about here in the U.S. or back home in?
I'm in Togo.
In Togo, okay.
Yeah,
I got you.
False teaching.
Okay, got you.
Get rich.
I got you.
Yeah. So Yvette and I, we had wishful thought, if God can give us a radio. So we came back. I talked to my pastor. He was at North Oxford.
North Oxford.
Yeah.
I'm helping interpret for you.
Okay.
But I seem like I'm repeating everything you say.
So
I'm only trying to help our American audience.
Okay.
And, just trying to be helpful.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
So North Oxford Baptist Church.
Yeah. North Oxford Baptist Church.
Yeah. So I talked to him. I said my heart was burning for radio. And he said, well, I don't know anything about radio, but I have a man in my church. He talked with the man, the late Bill Collier. And he said, well, I think he was a retired colonel in the army. He said, I don't know anything about radio, but I have a radio station not far from us. I'm going to call. And he made a call. He made a call to your dad.
My dad?
Yes, sir.
This would have been, what year was this?
2001.
So you're affiliated, you know there's some people at North Oxford Baptist Church in Oxford, Mississippi, which is an hour away from here.
Yeah.
You started talking to them about radio. The gentleman there says, I don't know anything about radio, but I'll call somebody who does because I know. So he calls Don Wildmon in Tupelo.
Yes, sir.
Speaks to him. And then what happened next?
Well, your dad said, well, come on over. And he came. He gave a transmitter, 250-watt transmitter, 2 microphones.
You came over here?
No, I didn't. They came.
What happened, Yvette?
The man that was retired, he passed now. That was the man that came.
He came to Tupelo. He met with my dad and said, I know this couple looking to put a Christian radio station on in Africa. Can you help?
Yeah.
My dad said, yes, we can help, and donated a transmitter to you, right?
Yeah.
How did we get it there? Just shipped it on a boat?
They ship it.
Yeah.
They ship it, and we got it. One antenna, I remember one antenna.
Did you know what to do with it? You obviously knew what to do.
I was glad it got there, but I found some people and put it on there. And December 2001, 2002, we wait for midnight. We were having the midnight wake, and wow, we launched it.
I love your enthusiasm. That's awesome.
Talking to Koku and Yvette Loko, Loko. They are from
Togo, West Africa.
Good, Ed.
I'm following the conversation.
Yes. And they have a ministry there reaching thousands of Africans. And they are affiliated here in the U.S. with Global Impact Ministries, which is out of Montgomery, Alabama. We were talking about the story of how they got the radio station on the air. And that was because of working with my dad.
Yes, sir.
And who founded this ministry and who founded American Family Radio. It was my dad that God put the vision in his heart and in his mind to found a radio network, which now is 180 radio stations, roughly 170, 180 radio stations all over the U.S. And also we have
radio in Togo.
And
I know your dad before I know you.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Yes, you did. Are you disappointed now?
I'm disappointed he's gone, but
you're disappointed he's gone. But okay, but we have a good relationship, right?
Yeah, we do.
All right, so Steve, next question.
Well, I just speaking of your dad passing, I just wanted to extend my condolences to you, Brother Koku. I understand that you found out this morning that you lost your brother.
Yeah, midnight they called me. He's the chief or the head of our family. Our parents, they're gone, so he's the oldest that is left for the family, and he's gone.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
He's Christian.
So
Lord,
does that bring some new responsibilities to you?
Yeah, it does. A little bit scary.
Is his microphone cutting in and out mean that is affecting the listening audience, Brent, or not? I'm sorry I'm having to ask this live on the radio, but his microphone keeps cutting in and out on my earpiece. Is it yours?
Yeah.
No?
I wouldn't.
It's just my earpiece. Maybe it's me.
Okay. Is that good now?
Yes.
Yeah. I got to ask you, Yvette, something here. Okay. What's the most popular local food there in your country? If I come to Togo, West Africa, as Ed says, and I visit you, which my brother Koku wants us to do, and I'd love to do that sometime. But what are you gonna make for us here?
Well, if it's Togolese food, like I did for Brother Kevin and Brother Josh, I'll make...
two of our engineers you're talking about who came to your homeland last year.
Yes, sir. I'll make fufu with chicken or beef sauce.
Fufu?
Fufu. It's made out of yam.
Yam?
Yam. We pound it.
Sweet potatoes?
No.
No, yam's
Yam.
different. Okay.
Yeah, yam like
Yam.
cassava,
Yeah.
but it's a little bit different from cassava. Yam, and we pound it,
Okay.
and then it's like little bit sticky, but it's white. And then we do white sauce with the meat with seasoning, and then we pour it over the fufu, and we eat with our hands. But for you, we can give you a spoon.
Okay.
That you can.
So that would be considered a
African food.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
Togolese food. But I can make you American.
Okay, so you got chicken or beef.
Yeah.
And then you've got this.
Spices, onion, cloves, garlic, ginger.
Okay.
Salt.
Really a lot of flavors.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And I
All
can make you some American
Well, if some American food.
foods too. Yeah.
I do have. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, if you want some witness, you just go to North Oxford, call a few people there, the doctors, they say come in because she can make real good
I
food.
might drive over and I'll have some of that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I was going to say you also have a hospital. Yes,
we do.
I like that. I like when Christians will preach the gospel, but then also reach out to help with the needs of the people, because that's a draw to the people, and it shows them the love of God.
Yeah, that is true. The difference between United States hospital or radio and what we have in Togo is that America radio, don't get me wrong, is nothing. Okay? Radio, television.
Oh, it doesn't mean anything to the people?
No, not necessarily.
Yeah.
But in Africa, it's just a tool to reach people.
Yeah.
And you can use radio, reach Muslims. You cannot get to their house.
Yeah.
But they can listen to some program like good nutrition, good health to nutrition.
Okay.
But in that program, it's not just nutrition. The Bible is hidden somewhere.
I
okay?
like that. Yeah.
You can read
That's
voodoo
wise.
people because you cannot knock at their door with Bible, but somehow they get tuned into the radio. I don't know what got them to
Well,
the radio.
they have their defenses down.
Yeah.
If you knock on their door, they go
No, but
yeah.
they are willing to listen to radio.
Yeah.
The
That's
same
very
thing is for the hospital. Here, hospital is hospital. Togo, somebody get sick, come to the hospital, even the president, he start listening.
Yeah.
What
What is the majority religion in Togo?
His animism.
Mm-hmm.
But, sorry, the Roman Catholicism is a syncretistic religion. This means you can go to church. It's different from the Catholicism you have here.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to church and come back and do voodoo.
Yeah.
And do voodoo.
Yeah.
It was the same in Madagascar.
They combine Catholicism
Mhm.
with animism is the worship of little spirits.
Voodoos, idol, like you see in the Old
Yeah.
Testament,
Yeah, that would be forbidden in the U.S. by the Catholics here.
Yeah,
No,
the reason
seriously.
why I said is different.
Mhm.
People don't know that, but in Togo, they do. I remember Paul John II came to Togo. I was doing something on the radio before I came.
Yeah.
Telling them that when they came, he went and worshipped voodoo with voodoo people in the forest.
John Paul II did?
Yeah.
All right, well, we're out of time.
Yeah.
That's yam, and you pound it, and then you
And
put
then
some
we
whites.
do the white sauce, beef
Yeah.
or chicken, it depends of the
Write
meat.
that down for me so I can. Yeah.
So when are you coming?
When you come, I will make it
I
for
don't know.
you.
When
I
are
don't
you
know. I don't know.
Oh.
He's that was good. You tried to get him
Yeah.
to come in on the air.
All right. Thanks to Koku and Yvette. Thank you, Steve.
My pleasure.
Ed, appreciate your contributions. And Fred Jackson earlier, and who else was on? Buddy Smith.
Buddy, yeah.
And Brent Creeley, our producer. We thank him. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody. Have a great day. Keep listening to AFR.
Thank you.